After jumping ahead to complete the northernmost part of the trail, we came back for what we had yet to do. This week started with 58 miles till our finish line, but it seemed like we kept getting slowed down. As much as I loved the trail in general, in the moment, I was sore, cold, and ready to be done. Well, after being delayed yesterday because it was too rainy and windy to be safe to walk, we stayed in that shelter all day long, and now at about 12:30, we're finally heading out. We were waiting for it to get sunny, and also it's just so cold. We can see our breath, like freezing cold, but at least it's not raining, so just gonna get done as many miles as we can today. We got another river crossing. Doesn't look like fun, but it looks doable. We made it. It was up to my shorts, and the current, it was a little pushy. It definitely was not dangerous like that other river I did just before getting to Shaw's. I had a bad experience with that, and Smoke had a bad experience with another part of the same river. So we were both nervous, don't want to take another chance like that ever again. But we got in, we could tell it wasn't a dangerous situation, and we got across. Now, to climb up these boulders. Okay, I know I look so silly with all this stuff on my head, but it's for a reason. Probably about to do a little bit of a night hike. If I can go 3 more miles, there is supposed to be a ski hut that's unlocked and open to hikers with electricity and heaters. Can't pass that opportunity up. I keep saying I'm not going to night hike anymore, but I think this one time it'll be worth it. And if I can go 2 miles an hour, I'll be there at 7. Might only have to be in the dark for a half hour or so. Here we are. This is a marker to say the AT was completed end to end in the 30s. How do you feel, Smoke?
I feel great. 1937, August 14th.
Woo! Woo! Let's go. Just a little while after the completion marker, we found a stealth site, looked at the map, and it's still more than a mile to where we want to go. So we're just like, okay, we really don't want to hike in the dark. Let's just, we'll be in heat and electricity soon enough. We'll just stealth camp here and enjoy the evening. I regretted not pushing on. That night was pretty miserable because it was bitter cold. My phone will probably die in a few minutes, but it was a really hard morning, freezing cold. I was just so hurried to get out of camp. I didn't eat anything because I was like, I'll eat while I'm walking, and I couldn't bear to put my feet in wet shoes again, so walking in my Crocs for a little bit. We needed to resupply, so we were already going into Stratton. And since we were there, we might as well return to one of our favorite hostels on trail. Because most thru hikers are already done with the trail, there's no one here but us. And that means that all the food anyone left behind, no one's here that's gonna claim it because it's just us here. So all the food in the fridge is free to us. And freezer. Oh my gosh, it's a thru hiker's dream. We have beer, which I'll be having later. This Vermont sharp cheddar cheese. Fried rice, frozen pizza, all kinds of desserts, frozen waffles. And it goes on and on. Can't wait. Plus, our friends that just left here knew we were coming, so they left us a little box of stuff. Peak refuel, that is very good stuff, and even some M&Ms. Ah! There's us when we stayed here last time. It was quite the feast, even though the looming cold nights were in the back of my head. I did get to see the resident flying squirrel, though, so that was cool. So after eating a bunch and taking a shower and calling my parents, I did not get anything done. And now I'm going to bed. And it worries me because everything is so time dependent. I really don't want 4 more nights of being out in the cold, but I think that's the way it's gonna be. And now I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna go to bed, in the warmth, and enjoy it, and deal with the rest in the morning. It's 10 o'clock and I still have video work to do. We have to do laundry. We have to figure out the Kennebec River ferry crossing. Normally there is a canoe that takes you back and forth, but because that ended September 30th and we're here in October, we had to figure out another way around. There's people to call, but I'm worried that what if they all say, you know, no, I can't do that day. How do we just have to end at the road before there? Because you really can't ford it. You really shouldn't even attempt to swim it. Gotta get a canoe. That's gonna be another challenge. But for right now, just doing what we need to do. Time is always of the essence, but at this point, like I said yesterday, or a few days ago, we gotta think of this as like a vacation, a final send-off to the trail, not just like go, go, go. So now it's past 11, and I'm still working on videos. We could go 5 miles today to a shelter, or we could just add that on to tomorrow's miles. It's not ideal because I would like to finish this trail at some point, but with the free food and the sleeping inside, and I really do have a lot of work to do, why not stay another night? So that's what we're gonna do. We're just finishing up some fries, and Smoke is making waffles. Eating all day long. The rest of the day passed with plenty of food and getting stuff done while wearing a fluffy onesie. I'm sorting out mine and Smoke's laundry for the last time on the AT. And it's just a crazy feeling. These are the clothes that I've been seeing for the past 200 days. I guess I didn't know Smoke till like day 22 maybe. On one hand, I'm more practical. Like, oh, these socks still have a little pine needles on them. I bet I can get those out when I wash them when I'm home. But it's also just like looking at my Ranger shirt for the last time. So many holes. I think I backpacked maybe 700 miles before the AT. So it's It's nothing wrong with the shirt, it's just not meant to hold up this long. It's a crazy feeling. The last night before the last leg of our AT experience. Our last time heading out on trail. Hopefully just 3 more days. Only 2 more cold nights. Also, last night when we were doing laundry, I had a pair of underwear not make it in the load, and so I washed it in the sink, and this is how I dried it. It worked. It's a weird way, but it worked. It's been a hard morning because it's sprinkling. I guess we overestimated how much time we have. I didn't get to use the bathroom inside one last time, but it's a beautiful day. Got plenty of food, got charged up phones. We're gonna make it through. One last time. This is the last big peak on the AT that I'm gonna do. It would be really awesome. I wish I could see the view. That's what I was hoping for. But I also really need to keep moving because the next shelter isn't for like 7 miles away. So gotta keep it moving, can't really stop and enjoy. But I looked over here and there was a backpack and then there was a smoke master. Oh my goodness. On the next little high point, there was a square made of stones, probably an old like fire tower base or something. So we're hiding out in here for a few minutes before continuing on. That was nice when we first ducked out of the wind and we were having some snacks, but we have to get going again, and now that our bodies aren't heated up and we have to be up here in this cold, I'm like, oh. This looks like a cool way to go, but I am going to go around because I am just too tired for that. Too tired to have fun right now. We didn't make it as far as we were hoping today, but we still made it to this really cool campsite. We were hoping to go to a shelter because it's going to be warmer, but this place is also very cool.
was pretty cold last night, but, you know, had my sleeping bag and all my warm gear, so not terrible. I kept waking up, though. I did have a bunch of dreams, so I had to sleep at some point, but it felt like I was awake a long time. And now it's 8:30, which is a time, like, I don't know. It's pretty late, but we are doing, I think, 13 miles today, and no more big peaks, so should not be too bad. Looking forward to just enjoying the leaves without the effort of climbing mountains.
You may be thinking, a bagel with icing for breakfast? But no! This is cream cheese icing. It's basically the same as having cream cheese, just you don't have to keep it refrigerated. Right? Like, that's totally how it works. And the tasting like cake is just a bonus. Finally got to the trail for what could be the last full day of hiking the AT. Last time getting up and going to sleep on the trail, which is wild. And because of that, it was really hard to get going in the morning. I think the hardest part, not the hardest part, but a hard part of the AT for me personally was being a person that likes to sleep in, walking with another person that likes to sleep in when daylight is limited, time is limited. The more you hike, the further you can go. Definitely noted, but not much to do about it now. It's 11 o'clock. We got like 13 miles to do. Just gonna try to enjoy them, but try to cover ground quickly as well. So we're not sleeping out in the cold or running out of food more nights than we planned. This whole time I've been hiking today, I've been so frustrated with myself that I've always had a problem throughout my life. It's never been, I don't want to say easy because that's putting it too lightly. It's always been a huge struggle for me waking up and getting ready in the morning. And now while I was walking today, I was just thinking, like, you would think like I would eventually get into the habit because it's the AT, just getting up and going, but I didn't. And there's so many things that I wish I could do that seems like it's easy for other people, but I think it's just always going to be that way. And now that I've said that, I've gotten that out, now I'm just moving on and looking at this amazing view. Woo! I think I'm about a mile away from the shelter, and it's starting to get dark. With the leaves on the trail, it's harder to see where mud and puddles are, so my shoes are wet. Really not the end of the day that I pictured when I woke up. But, you know, even though I was so excited for this, like, bonus miles, because I was gonna, like, have the end of the trail I wanted, it's still not really what I had in mind. It was still a little stressful, trying to get miles done, trying to hurry before it got really, really cold, although it was cold in general. You know, what can you do? Life never works out as you want it to in your head. Still good to dream big and have a picture of what you want, but you also gotta understand it doesn't always turn out how you planned. And that's okay. Me and my wet feet will get to this shelter eventually. Here we are, last place I'm gonna sleep on the AT.
Once I opened my eyes and realized where I was, and that it was my last day on the AT, I was, oh my gosh, say it ain't so. But at the same time, I remember how cold I was last night, and then I was like, okay, maybe I am glad for the last day. But anyway, let's get to hiking and let's finish strong.
Some bad news for our last day. Smoke isn't feeling too well because he ate some Spam last night that upset his stomach. So it's a bummer when you want to feel so happy and accomplished, but your stomach's hurting.
I just want to get these last 10 miles over with. Just be done with it.
Aww. Here we are, the last shelter we're gonna pass. Somewhere down there. And this, we don't know what that is. Any thoughts at this time?
Last 3.7. Let's go.
When we were in town, I got in contact with someone who lived on the river and owned a canoe. She said we could just call her when we needed to get across. Easier than I thought. Is that a river crossing? The only part of my feet that are dry are like this part of my socks. So I'm just going in with my normal shoes. It was deeper than it looked. I'm gonna be soaked the rest of the day. Against them for the whole rest of the day. It's like 50 degrees out. one of the last times crying, and it didn't have anything to do with almost finishing the trail. When I came back into service, my mom told me about some stressful news that I might have to be dealing with. Both of us are having bad days, and it's just generally, I'm very upset, and I wish it was different. I wish I was feeling a lot better right now. And just a few minutes later, like I hoped, everything is okay, peaceful. And what's making me really happy now is, I think this is the Kennebec River. Oh my gosh. Smoke, how do you, look, what a moment. What's going through your mind?
We're done. Like, we just have to get across that. We get right over there and we're done. Like, no more hiking, no more waking up every day at 7 a.m., no more putting on wet socks, no more eating hiker trash food. It's freeing. It's really freeing.
Last privy, we're gonna pass one of the last white blazes. Last time walking under these beautiful fall trees. I can't believe this is it. What'd you say?
Right behind that tree. We get attacked by a squirrel last night.
Get attacked by a squirrel. I don't see it. Let's just go. I see him. Hi, squirrel. Please don't attack us. We want to finish.
What's up?
You're excited for us?
You got beef? I got a whole bag of nuts.
Smoke, it's right there. Let's go. I'm gonna go.
He's happy for it. Wow, we really did it.
Goodbye, AT. Thank you. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for my boyfriend. Thanks for this feeling of accomplishment. And thank you for being here with me. Hope to see you again in the next one. But seriously, thank you all so much for being with me on this journey. It didn't hit me until I was putting on my pack to leave, but wow. All I got to say is wow. Whew. Let's go get a beer. We did it, babe. Goodbye, trail. And just like that, my time on the trail was finished. It still doesn't feel real because every day was just getting up, hiking some miles, and then doing it all again the next day. But 202 days later, I went all the way from Maine to Georgia. And so, for the 29th time, let's look back at the week and answer the same 5 questions as usual. How did I notice the landscape and season changing? Well, for landscape, it was pretty mountainous, Sugarloaf Mountain and the Bigelows. And then once those were over, it was pretty flat, but it was very wet. It was wet the whole time, but a lot more river crossings, puddles, stuff like that. I think when I first got into Maine, I said it was pretty similar to New Hampshire, but the more I was there, the more I realized that was not true. Maine had more like back and forth between deciduous trees and coniferous trees. In New Hampshire, usually the tops of mountains were exposed. In Maine, that was sometimes true, but less so. Way more water crossings in Maine and definitely a different vibe. I can't really put my finger on how, but it was just more Maine-like. As far as how the season changed, after that big rain, there were some trees that were bare. Even though there were some trees that still hadn't, they were still green. It was definitely still the middle of fall for sure. Something interesting I noticed was that because the trees were bare, you could see through them and see mountains beyond them. Nights were cold, the sunset was early, and it was the same way in Georgia when I started. That was kind of a full circle moment. What was the common experience between most of the hikers on the trail? Well, there was very few of them. A lot of people had to rearrange their plans. A lot of people just went to Katahdin and hiked southbound or rearranged it weird like we did because Baxter State Park closes eventually and worries about the cold. I'm sure some people were just like, oh, I love the cold, but I didn't meet any of them. Even though you love it, at the same time, you're looking for the relief of warmth and more conveniences and less pain. And that final week, me and Smoke were definitely both having hard weeks, but I want you all to know, in the grand scheme of things, we love the trail. In the moment, it was pretty difficult, and we were ready to feel the joy of finishing. Last week, I said it felt like the trail was just getting further and further, just kind of spreading itself out because of delays. And I said my goal was just to finish the trail. And I did. I think I should make a goal for post-AT life. And I just want to always appreciate things that I didn't have when I was on the trail, like an option of what clothes to put on in the morning, warm water to wash my hands, soap to wash my hands. I did have hand sanitizer, but still, just so many little things I appreciate now because I've had the experience of the trail. I never want to forget that. And what did I learn from week 29? Well, so many things. I think I'm extra reflecty now because it's the end. At one point I was kind of musing, maybe everything does happen for a reason. But that last week on the trail, I was like, maybe not. Because it was cold as heck. And really, looking back, would I do Maine out of order? If you don't know, I hiked northbound all the way to just before Rangeley. Then I went from Caratunk to Katahdin. Then I went back and went from just below Rangeley to Caratunk. So, would I do things the same? On one hand, I really liked splitting it up into 2 chunks. It made it seem just mentally more manageable. It was nice to do Katahdin with a lot of people I knew. But I did add on at least 4 days because it was hard to get from Millinocket after Katahdin all the way back to the Rangeley area. I did have to spend some more nights in the cold. It felt like the hike was going on and on forever at one point. I don't know. It was what it was. And really, any way I would have done it, there would have been pros and cons, just like anything. And I really learned how much community and other people mean to me. One of the things I was most looking forward to about the AT was a traveling community of people. I can't think of any other experience that would be like you get to see people you weren't expecting to see, you make deep bonds with people and see them over a course of months at their best and worst moments. That was really cool. I relearned that I am a pretty patient person and I can really get through a lot. I can survive. I can make it through and drink in the highs and lows along the way. And with that, the 2023 season comes to an end. Thank you and good night.